What's going on, guys? My name's Kyle with Ocean State Merchants, back for another video with you guys. I'm going to bring you guys through pretty much what I sold this week, how much we brought in, and where we stand year to date. My goal is to make $80,000 as a minimum in my reselling journey this year. And then my stretch goal is going to make about $120,000. Reason for that is pretty much the $80,000 covers my old salary of my job that I had about a year and a half ago. And the remaining balance, that $40,000, would be like a really good year on my side hustle. My side hustle was eBay originally, and I made about $20,000 to $50,000 a year. So figuring if I can get close to that 120, I would be really thrilled. So that's the goal. That's what I'm going for. We'll see if we get there. Ended this last time with, let's see, what do we have? Well, we had $144.33. We sold a TV. So we sold a TV on Facebook Marketplace. I updated on one of my videos, and I'm going to try to do pretty much every video, show you guys what I'm buying, kind of deduct it from what we're doing. And once a week, we'll do eBay sales and that kind of stuff and show you guys how much money we brought in from that information, as well as Poshmark, Mercari, and Facebook as we go throughout the week. So bring you guys along. I gave number goals. Really, my big goal here is my sheer numbers of sales. So I had 41 sales last week on eBay, which they were netting about $1,300. You guys are going to see a little bit more of what it actually paid me out. And I had 3 sales on Poshmark and 1 on Facebook that wasn't recorded. So 2 Facebook, 3 Poshmark, and then 41 eBay. So was that 46 individual sales last week, or in the first 8 days. So not too shabby, but I definitely want to see that number increase. I want to see these numbers improve, and that's going to be pretty much relationships that I build over the year. So something I really want to focus on, but quickly going to run through these sales with you guys this year, and then I will show you guys the exact numbers of where we are and kind of a small plan going into the week. So first thing we sold was this Rob Gronkowski Nike on-field jersey. So Nike on-field jerseys, you guys just look at the stitching. You can tell when they're fake. Really looking at the patch, especially the patch down in the bottom right of the jersey. Those usually will be pretty wonky, but sold that for $25 plus shipping. You see a lot of comic books. I did a huge comic book buyout. Getting to the books that probably aren't as expensive, and you're going to start to see big lots going through, because that's the stuff that I'm going to be working on next. But got this Khazar. This is number 8, and we sold Dragonlance together. Those sold for $15.98. Kind of a theme here for some reason. We sold a Valentine's Day gnome, so I don't know why this was the week for Valentine's Day gnomes, but I did a huge buyout of gnomes. Some were really good, like I'm saying really good, like that $20 to $30 range. Those ones tended to be like garden gnomes that were like seasonal for the whole summer. Bumblebee attire, fairy attire, stuff like that. Did pretty well, actually. Stuff like this, where it was just kind of like a simple gnome with a heart balloon. That's all for $6.50. I think I had it for $9.99. Took an offer on it. This has my old shipping rates on it too. If you don't know, I've changed my shipping. So pretty much like if you're under 8 to 12 ounces, depending on what the item is and how big it is, I generally will only charge like $5.50 or $6. When you get up to like the 12 ounce rate to a pound rate, I'll do like a 4 ounce rate. And then if it's like 2 pounds to 3 pounds, I'll usually charge like an 8 to 12 ounce rate, depending on the size of the item. I found that does a good job of kind of getting the exact amount for when the person does buy the item of what it's actually billing me. I know you can put in the exact rates. I don't want to be exact, because I am hoping to make a little bit of money on the shipping to cover, the price of the box, ideally, especially when you're selling a garden gnome for $6.50. But in this case, it had the old rate, so it had a 2-pound rate on it. So this person got charged way more than they should for the shipping anyway. So I made a little bit of extra on that, and that's why I went down so low on the $6.50. But I got all those garden gnomes for like 50 cents each. Sold a lot for good money. I'm down to 1 gnome left, I think. So happy to see that one go. You're going to see a couple more of the Valentine ones going. Next sale we did was a Game Boy Advance 2-game lot. We had Mario Kart, and we had the movie Cars, I believe it was, or Circuit Cars. Mater Nation. So $16.99 for that. Sold these 2 comic books. I had these individually priced, and someone sent me an offer for both of them. It ended up being like $23 plus shipping. I sent them I did the lot and put it for $20. It's Gumper Pile #2, and I think, from this comic book, I think it's the first one of Gumper Pile, and Zorro. I put it for $20, $3 discount. I'm hoping that person kind of enjoyed that and comes back and looks at my other books, because I do have a lot of Golden Key books. There's some more for me to list, so trying to build more relationship. That person saves $3. I do a good deed for them. Hopefully they enjoyed it. But the books were in really good shape. We sold 47 Spider-Man comic books. I don't know what age this was from, or really. These are all like newer books. I think they're like dollar books. So 47 of them for $120. I have a ton of this. This is kind of my death pile right now, is these weird things that might not necessarily sell. This sold instantly. So it's it's 2 pounds, 11 ounces. It's a brass ashtray. Sold that for $14.99. That sold in 2 days. I was not expecting it to sell so fast. You know, the shape of it, not the best shape in the world, but moved fairly quickly. This is a bad buy that I did. I bought a ton of these wrestling figures. Some were good. Some were like $25, $30 figures, but most of them are like in this 5 to, I'll say 15. That might be generous, more like 5 to 10 range. Conan, this sold for $8.99. He had his kilt. He also supposed to have a hat. I don't have the hat, but $8.99 with the kilt included. 888 size small. These are skateboarding knee pads. Sold that for $17.99, free shipping. I've talked about this before. I go into these for a Diet Coke. My wife had a friend at work whose husband bought out a skate shop. They had 5 pairs of cycling shoes, hundreds of these knee pads and elbow pads, all the same brand. And she wanted them out of her house. He was never going to do anything with it, so she gave it to my wife for free. We tried to pay her, but she refused to take any money, and in the end, my wife ended up buying her a Diet Coke, and that's the deal they agreed on. So I joke about it, but that's one of the reasons why you want to make sure you tell people that you are a reseller, because you run into deals like that. I probably made close to $1,000 off that buyout, I guess I'm going to call it. So super thankful for that. Sold these Nike Air Force Triple Blacks. Sold those for $28.49. I picked those up at a Goodwill recently, or not a Goodwill. It's actually called Johnny Cake Center. It's in Rhode Island. It's a thrift store here, and I got it for like $12.50. So after everything was all said and done, I didn't make much off this. It ended up netting me $22.89. So I made $10 on it. Personally, I'm happy with that kind of flip, because I am not a thrifter. Something I'm trying to get better at this year. Sold this violin. This is made in 1912. This thing was beat. It's missing some of the strings. When I listed it, I've had people reach out to me and tell me essentially like the thing is beyond repair, or has been repaired so much that the value is plummeted. I had 2 violins from a storage unit. I sold one for like $300. It was made in like 1928, I think. So I was kind of basing it off like, oh, that price. It was a separate person. I had no idea what to price it. I've just been dropping the price at this thing. I started at $400. I think I had it up for $199 at that point, and the person sent me an offer for $80. I asked where they lived. They said New Hampshire, because it had free shipping on it, and I knew shipping it to New Hampshire wouldn't be that bad here in Rhode Island. So I countered it at $120, and then they said they would think about it. The next day they offered me the $95, and I just took it. It cost me $16 to ship that, so I didn't lose a lot in the shipping there. But happy to kind of get the room back in my garage. And it was just one of those items I felt like I couldn't throw away, but because obviously there was value there, $95 worth of value at least. I don't know if I left some on the table, probably, but hopefully that person will get it up and running. They said that they were brand new to violin, and that they were talking about the costs of repair and stuff like that they thought they were going to need. I think that's a very interesting approach. I'm presuming they're not new, and that they were getting this thing for a screaming deal, because who is going to start playing a new instrument and then decide that they're going to get a project? So I don't really know, but happy to get rid of it. Chris Candido, I don't know nothing about this wrestling guy. Sold him for $5.99. Once again, I'm part of that same buyout. New Orleans Saints vintage hat. I'm surprised at how long this took. I've had this up at like $29.99. It was a cool New Orleans Saints hat. I mean, nothing crazy. Not getting the cool like shark tooth pattern or whatever it's called, but I thought it looked kind of nice. I think I had it up originally at like 20, maybe $30, $29.99. Dropped down to 25, then to $19.99. Eventually, it sold at $17.99. Surprised how long it took, but it eventually moved. A little small lot of these Halo Mega Construction guys. So these are like the Mega Blocks things, kind of like a Lego, but they were Halo themed. Sold all those for $19.99 plus shipping. Got this patch. Usually the patches I just put in a huge lot and put them up for whatever, like usually $1 a patch, and try to do big lots. This one looked like a little bit better, a little bit vintage. Usually I'll separate them like military, try to do some like batches, but I threw this one up there just to see what happened. Sold within a couple days, $2.99 plus the standard envelope shipping. It's a pretty good one here. Vintage, what is it? Joma metal. I have no idea. I got this in a consignment deal that I did, and eventually I bought out the rest of the consignment at this point. But this is like a storage lockbox. These things come in some pretty vibrant colors too. The vibrant colors do really well. This thing is rusted and beat to crap. It did have both keys, which obviously is a plus. When you open it up, it had like a really like baby blue on the bottom or inside the tray. That had some scratches and dings and dents to it. Still sold for 18 bucks. So a cash lockbox for $18. If you ever see this brand out in the world, pick it up, because even in a horrible condition, it's going for 18. If you have a good, nice, clean copy, you're looking at 45 to 60. Sold this Youth North Face jacket. It's reversible. The patches, like the North Face logo on the jacket, both sides are kind of a little bit worn. Surprised how long this one took to sell. I had it up for $19.99, eventually put it down to $14.99, and it sold getting towards the end of the season. So I'm starting to really try to plummet on some of my jacket prices, sweatshirt prices. Hopefully get rid of them so I'm not holding on to a ton going into the next year. Marvel Greats comic book, another comic book, number 35. Sold that for $6.99. Got the Swiss watch. Once again, it's a thing that I didn't test. It has a broken face. I had it for $19.99. If it was in better condition, I probably would have tried to replace a battery like this, because I think the watch goes for about 50 bucks if it's good working condition. But with the broken face, took on the idea that most likely it might not work anyways. Didn't want to put a battery in it to test it. So I had it up for $19.99. Someone offered me $10, and I just took it and moved on from that one. Watches generally I pick up for like $1 at a yard sale. Vintage Mattel Barbie dollhouse. This was a pretty cool one. So this was near complete. I think it's missing a cup, and it was missing one other item, I believe. Take a quick look and see if I can see this quickly. One would think I would be able to find my own listing fairly fast. All right, so missing the cups in the set. So there are 2 cups that were missing that go on like the little tray. Other than that, everything was there, complete. Christmas tree, the star was a little ripped on it. Obviously had some condition issues, but overall not horrible. Sold that for $70 plus shipping. I got that in at a yard sale where I got a ton of vintage plush and some vintage games, including some vintage Lion King stuff that did really well as well. All right, so up next, we have this Chevy SSR concept car. This is a 1/25th scale. This one is a bad sale through and through. So I ended up taking an offer for $6.99 on this. I originally thought this was like a Hot Wheels or a Matchbox car. Had like $5.50 shipping. I was like, okay, whatever, I'll make a little bit of money. I didn't realize that I didn't pay attention to the 1/25th scale. So this shipped at a 2-pound rate. And I only charged shipping on this for $6. After everything was all said and done, I had a transaction fee, shipping cost, ad fee. I made a whopping 96 cents. So these are the kind of things that just are not worth it. Plus, this person messaged me right away. Apparently, they couldn't figure out how to track tracking. So they kept on saying the tracking said nothing on it. And when I clicked on it, the tracking had it in like California, which is across the country for me. So I had to send them a screenshot to prove that the tracking was there. It was definitely not worth the headache, and it's in a horrible condition. And I'm hoping that we don't hear anything. They got it yesterday, so I'm presuming we're good. But for 96 cents, not worth the headache. And it probably didn't even cover, I think I used a recycled box. But if you're putting it in a box, you're probably losing money at that point. Sold these 7 electric candles. These are for your Christmas decor. These sold after Christmas. $19.99. Obviously, someone that is replacing some things that they lost, need, whatever. Boy Scouts pen neckerchief slide. So these things can do really well. So I thought this would do better than what it did. It sold for $8 plus shipping. Some of these really old, especially Indian Chiefs, go pretty well. I thought this was pretty good. It looks like it's handmade. It looks like it's kind of chipped from like a rock. The back was kind of like arrowhead looking. So I thought it looked cool. I thought to a collector it would be an awesome piece, but I had it up for like 30 bucks and slowly just worked my way down to the point where we got it at 8 and it eventually did sell, but took a long time and a lot less than I thought it would. Junkyard Dog, this is, again, the wrestling buyout. These are bigger figures. These do well if they're in good condition. Obviously, being played with these rubber painted figures, there's a lot of paint transfer, and mine have a ton on them. So this one went for $8.99 plus shipping. However, if you have it in good condition, you're at that probably like minimum, I would say 15 for a bad figure, up to 30 bucks. So if you can find these guys, 1984 Titan sports figures, if you can find them in good condition, even in bad condition, I mean, if you can get them for a buck, I guess it might be worth it if you're into wrestling and action figures, but I wouldn't pick them up unless they're in better condition. Sold this Looney Tunes. This is the 1988 Applause figures. I have 6 of the guys, and those sold for $19.99 plus shipping, so not bad for small little 2-inch figures. Nintendo DS Lite. This I sold for $17. Had it up for $20. Someone offered me $10, which I was not going to take. There was a sold comp of one of these in similar condition where these things are beat. The screens are completely scratched. It's yellowing. The buttons feel good, but other than that, everything is just like really bad. There's 3 stickers on the top of it that just are welded on there. So I saw a similar condition, and that one was snapped in half, sell for $20. This person just kept on sending me crazy messages. It's probably someone I should have blocked. It was delivered yesterday. We'll see how things go here. But they were talking about having to buy a charger to see if it works. And I really emphasize that this is a parts-only unit, that like you should only be buying this if you need the buttons or the case or something like that, because this thing is in such bad condition that I am so doubtful this does not work. I didn't have a charger to attempt to get it to work, but it was not in any sort of condition where I could justify buying a charger to attempt to bring it back to life. So we'll see if this person has any gripes about this unit. They asked me if I tested it and what was wrong with it, and I just told them flat out I don't have a way to test it, and this thing is broken. Do not buy it, but they still bought it. So a little nervous on that one, but we'll see what happens there. Sold this Ireland Canterbury rugby jacket. So my wife actually played rugby as a rec sport in college on a women's team through her university. And she's the one that pointed this out to me. So apparently Canterbury is a good rugby brand to look out for. Ireland, I know, is a good rugby brand to look for as well, especially, you get into like St. Patrick's Day time, that people are just going to buy it because it's green around here. It says Ireland on it, has a big Ireland hit on the back, or just the words on the back, and then I think it's like some sort of advertising for the club. But sold that for $18.49. I think we picked this up for $8 at a thrift store the other week. You can see some beautiful picture work here. I accidentally put a filter on this, took the pictures, and then just uploaded them because I was too lazy to go back and actually fix it. These are a Chinese wood abacus. Sold that for $25. Took a long time to sell. I don't know if it's because it's a vintage Chinese wood abacus or if it's the fact that I have really weird pictures on here. Who knows? But as of right now, it is officially gone for $25 plus the shipping. Got a big buyout. Did this while I was doing the wrestling figures. This was actually a good side of the buy. The wrestling figures were not. Shouldn't have bought those. But sold the Cobra Hiss Tank, 100% complete, 1983. Sold that for $19.99. Some of these, I was into these figures for an average cost of about $10 a figure. So this one I'm doubling up on. I did have like some planes that I sold for $100 to $200. I had a boat that I sold for $150. So there were some really big pieces there that kind of bought everything out. But when I averaged out each piece, I generally want to be at $10. A few were below the $10 mark, but like these were kind of like the bread and butter ones that like maintained at that $10 level after fees and shipping, everything like that. I probably didn't make a ton of money, but made probably like $5 to $10 on it. So happy with that. This is another figure. So Ric Flair, once again, going back to that buyout, $5.69. Sold these LA. All right, next, I know I'm going to butcher this, but sold 7 LA Fuertes, original bird prints. I believe these originals, based off the storage unit and based off how they looked to me, they were going to be originals. I wasn't 100% sure. And someone reached out to me and asked me essentially, like, are these originals or are these reprints? I told them that essentially I think they are. I'm not 100% sure. I can't guarantee it, but what I will do is if it's not an original, which I was fairly confident just because the unit was full of like antiques and stuff like that. If I was told them if it's not what you're looking for, I will take the refund and I will make sure that I take on all shipping costs there and back. So you'll be have no cost, no risk to you. It's just one of these things that I don't think is really ever going to sell for me. Because I can't, when I get questions like this, I can't say 100% sure yes. So I'm willing to take that risk. They got it on the 6th, today's the 9th. So they've had it for 2.5 days now. Obviously, if it was not what they were looking for, I think I would have heard back from them. So we have finally moved on from that. I got this Louisiana Superdome. These are like little tin license plates. I've sold these things anywhere from $19 all the way down to the final one, which was $8.54. Super slow moving. I got 3 of these at a Goodwill. They were $1 each. So the end one, not worth it. Overall, I think I averaged probably $20.15, and then this $8.54, I think were my sales on those. So good flip for a $3 flip, but they took forever. I had those things for like 3 or 4 years. So obviously not a fast moving item, but very cheap, easy to store, easy to ship kind of thing. Vintage Japanese gold ginger jar. These ginger jars do pretty well. They're average probably like, I would say $20 if you ever see them. In these like floral patterns. I also have a blue and white one from the storage unit, which is where this came from. Sold this for $24.99. Confessions of a Lovelorn number 86. Sold this for $22.50. This went out. I took an offer on this. These were just in really good condition. Once again, it's kind of like that Golden Key comics where you don't see these in great condition, and because it's in such good condition, it drove a premium. Usually these are going for like $6-7 on eBay, but with the good condition, I was able to get a little bit more for that. It's a pretty cool brand, Heartwood. If you ever see it, it just has like a, I'll try to put up a picture of the logo, but it's just a heart. This is a very small case. I probably undersold this, so at $9.99 I sold this case for it. The top slides out, but it looks like kind of like a solid piece of wood. They're supposed to be kind of like hidden compartments, I guess. It sold overnight, so I probably underpriced it, and I can definitely see some of the bigger ones are selling for a lot more. So it might be something to look for if you ever see just like it's just a heart, but with an intricate looking box. Look it up because it might actually have some decent value to it. Hee Haw number 4, once again, Golden Key comic. This is Charlton, different brand, but that same concept. Okay condition on this one, $9.49. Sold this Nut Splitter. I had this on my old eBay. I moved it over because it was easy and quick to do, but obviously $14.24 plus free shipping or at free shipping is not what I'm looking to sell items for. But sold that, made a couple bucks. I'm sure I found that in a storage unit someplace. Coleman North Star lantern. So there's a vintage lantern. It does not have a base to it. With the base, I think it's like a $30, $40 lantern. I cut my price in about in half. Sold it for $19.99 plus shipping there. I regret selling this for so cheaply. I don't know. It might be right on and just kind of rare, but it's antique Crosby steam gauge and valve engine indicator tool. I have no idea what this is. I know nothing about it. It came from the consignment deal that I did that I bought out. I have $80 sold for that, and this sold instantly, like within an hour so of listing. I took all the parts and I just put it out there. I saw one sell for $120. The person said it was tested working. Mine, I didn't even know if I had all the parts. I'm not sure. I just laid everything out on the counter and took pictures of it. So I figured I had to go for 80. Maybe mine's in complete condition and someone is very confident that everything is going to work. Or they have extra parts or whatever the case may be, but that sold quickly. Obviously rare, old antiques, anything like that you want to take a picture of and look up. Comic books, once again, 3 Lenore, 1, 4, and 5 from 1998. My goal is to get about $3 a book, make a couple $1,000s off the deal that I bought out. And this is fitting right into that bill at $9.99 divided by 3. We're making a whopping $3.33. Obviously some, fees and stuff like that. I'm not quite there, but kind of at that price range where I want to be. So happy to see 3 more comic books go. And the final item on eBay was these new Tag Champion gray sweatpants. The only reason why I sold these was because they were brand new and they were a 2XL, so I figured a decent size. Sold for $8 plus shipping on there. So not the best flip in the world. I did sell 2 items actually, so I lied. I thought I had 3. I had to cancel one of the items. So I did 45 items this week. But I sold a Harley women's jacket. That sold for $18. Took an offer on Poshmark and then took another offer on Poshmark for $10. Sold a Nike boys sneakers, mid twos. So sold those. All right, and the final thing that we had was a Facebook Marketplace deal, which would be item 45, I believe. It was a golf seat, so it's like just like for the bleachers, from Beth Page. Sold that for $18.69. Sold for $20 on Facebook, but as a business, you are supposed to be taking in sales tax. So anything that's not on eBay that doesn't, like eBay takes care of your sales tax, but I put sales tax into a separate account, and essentially if I charge them $20, I just go online and get a calculator that Rhode Island has a 7% sales tax, and they do the math for me. It can't be any easier. I'm sure there's a very basic math problem you can do by just multiplying it by, I would presume, 0.93. But I am lazy. I was a bank manager for 8 years. I am done with math, so I just go into calculators that do this for me now. So that is everything that's sold, which brings us to where we stand today. We had our eBay payout, our final eBay payout, because right now I'm having all my eBay payouts come directly out of eBay itself. Eventually I am going to switch it over to a credit card because it would be nice to get the points. I had that going for a little while and then moved it over because essentially just made it a little bit easier for a short period of time. But and I thought maybe it will be easier for like videos and stuff like that, but I am missing out on the points. So eventually I'm going to move that back over. I just need to eventually do it. But that's 675.13 was the final number with all the shipping deducted. As I said, the golf, we sold one thing on Facebook, the golf seat. That was $18.69. We had Macari sales that did not process because with Macari, you don't get paid out until everything is all done and you're rated. So I had $33.58 previous week's balance, and I took that out. And then Poshmark as well. I had $12 in the previous week's balance for everything that got completed, and took that out as well. So, all right, and taking all that into consideration, we ended our week as of January 8th with $854.62 profit. The other thing we have to take into account for myself is I am looking also at my side hustle, which is selling sports cards. We did make a little bit of money this week. We sold $326.36 in the side hustle. So that brings us up to a total of $1,180.98 in the first week. I want to be averaging, I think if I'm going to hit 80,000, I got to be at like that 13, 15, I forget what the number was. And then if I'm going to be at 120,000, it has to be at like 2,300 a week. I know my January, February, March, April, I'm okay if I'm a little bit low. Really in like April, May, June, like April is where it should like start to shift. May, June, July, August, I need to see really good months. September, a good month. And then, if I see October, November slow down a little bit, I'm okay with that. And then December, hopefully kill it. Hopefully have some good stuff for the holiday season, Christmas season. But that's kind of the goal. That's where we stand. I'm going to bring you guys along. I'm going to be transparent on this channel, at least for this year, about where we stand and kind of what you can expect. As I said, I'm a full-time eBay reseller. I do have a lot of things that slow me down. My daughter's with me 3 days a week. I drop her off at school one day, 2 hours early, and then one of the days I pick her up at 11:30. So my day for 2 of the days is completely kind of washed. I will only work for about 2.5 hours. I will obviously work at night a little bit to make up for that. But even with a busy lifestyle, you can kind of get an idea of what you can do. I don't have huge connections. I'm not buying from some person that's supplying me with great stuff at a great deal. So it's just working out the deals. That's what I do. Obviously, not everyone's going to do storage units. So you'll see that hopefully on Monday. They'll be getting a storage unit. I'll bring you guys along for that kind of stuff and show you the ins and outs of that. But yeah, that's all I really got. If you guys want to follow, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff really helps me out. I'll catch you on the next one.